What's the percentage that you think gets this deal done?
Oh, I don't think Adam Silver has any interest in pegging it to a percentage at all. And Adam Silver addressed the media during the League Cup final in Vegas and said that he'll get involved if they want him to. But here's the surprise. He's been involved from the beginning. What he was saying is, will I go to the actual table? You don't need the commissioner of the NBA to be at this table at any time. But what they've done is they've extended the deadline first by 30 days, 40 days. So it's been a total of 70 days, which all you're doing is delaying a work stoppage. You want to get to that work stoppage because that's a legal term of art. You want to get to some sort of lockout or strike so then it can go to the next stage of these negotiations.
WNBA ownership might be forcing Adam Silver to completely scrap the WNBA. And honestly, the league might not survive to see next season. We are talking about a full shutdown here, folks. Owners just dropped this absolute bombshell statement that has everyone in the basketball world scrambling to figure out what follows. Adam Silver is caught in what might be the most impossible situation of his entire career, trying to balance two completely unrealistic expectations. The players are threatening to strike over money that, and I cannot stress this enough, the league doesn't even have in its accounts. Meanwhile, everyone is watching to see if Caitlin Clark will be the one person with enough sense to pump the brakes on this runaway train before it derails completely. The league is literally burning down around everyone, and nobody is holding a fire extinguisher.
Here is that the players in the WNBA want to have a pegged revenue number the way they have it in the NBA. And Adam Silver is saying no, because the NBA owners are saying no, because that's not taking into account all of the money that the WNBA owners need to profit and take off the table to pay down debt that has been accruing over the decades of losses. So that is why they're not having a meeting of the minds on any percentage, which is why the NBA is offering minimum salaries increasing like up to $1 million, because then you can absolutely chart and express what you're.
This is absolutely wild to watch unfold. Here is what I want to know, and this is the million-dollar question that nobody seems to be asking. At what point does fighting for more money actually become fighting yourself completely out of a job? Like, when do you realize you're about to kill the golden goose? Let me get straight to the point, because this situation is absolutely bananas. And I mean certifiably insane. WNBA owners are reportedly so fed up with these CBA negotiations that some insiders are suggesting they might just let Adam Silver pull the plug on the entire league,
versus derived revenue share off of a fixed number. What is your opinion on what happens?
Completely.
Maybe the end of the WNBA.
And before you think that is impossible, before you dismiss this as just negotiation theater, let me walk you through exactly why we are actually at this nuclear option point right now. The current CBA negotiations have become a complete and utter disaster, like a train wreck happening in slow motion that everyone can see coming, but nobody can stop. The players want to strike. They are demanding things the math simply doesn't support. The owners are saying they're offering exactly what the league can realistically afford. And Adam Silver is stuck right in the middle, trying to mediate between two sides that apparently can't agree on basic math. According to multiple reports from people close to the situation, Cathy Engelbert's job might even be on the chopping block as part of these negotiations.
Unpopular to who? To the large majority of the... I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. If what you're saying that there have been expansion fees paid and they're trying to expand and they've got broadcast deals that were totally pinned to the NBA deals, is that what you mean by unpopular? What I'm telling you is that if the players get too greedy, it will be the end of the...
Word on the street is that players want her gone. They have lost confidence in her leadership. And apparently, some owners wouldn't mind a fresh start either. Whether that's actually what is holding up the deal is unclear, but when literally everyone involved wants your commissioner fired, that is not exactly a sign of healthy labor relations. So here is what the owners put on the table. And honestly, it's not a bad offer at all considering the league's harsh financial reality. They're proposing a $1 million max salary, which is huge. The average salary would jump to around $117,000, which is life-changing money. there's roughly $200,000 in potential incentives, which means the actual supermax could reach $1.2 million when you factor everything in. Plus, they're offering some level of revenue sharing, which is what players have been demanding for years. That represents a massive increase from the current situation, where the max salary is barely over $200,000. But here is where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. And this is where the players might have completely lost the plot. The players looked at this offer and said, no. Not just no, but hell no. And we're voting to authorize a strike, no. And here's the kicker that should tell you everything about where their heads are at. 98% of players voted to authorize this strike. Only 2% held out. Which means, basically, nobody had the courage to say, maybe we should take this deal. Now, everyone's speculating about who those few holdouts are. And Caitlin Clark's name keeps coming up in every conversation. Nobody's confirmed it officially, but people are connecting dots because she is the one player who might actually understand that killing the golden goose isn't exactly a great long-term strategy. Let's be brutally real about something the players absolutely don't want to hear. But it needs to be said. The offer on the table is substantially better than what they currently have. We're not talking about a small cost of living adjustment here. We're talking about doubling or even tripling some salaries. The max salary goes from $200,000 to $1 million. That's not a small bump. That's not insulting. That's life-changing money for most people on planet Earth. But apparently, in the players' minds, they deserve even more than that. And I'm here to tell you something that's going to make some people really mad. But someone needs to say it. They don't. Look, I don't care if this makes people uncomfortable. It's not the end of the world for them to hear some hard truths. These owners are bending over backwards, trying to make this work. Literally, throwing good money after bad, year after year. They're losing money hand over fist, season after season. And they are still offering to dramatically increase player compensation anyway. Meanwhile, the players are acting like they're getting completely disrespected, when the reality is they're getting offered more money than the league actually generates in revenue. That's not sustainable business. That is not how any successful enterprise works. That is pure fantasy economics. One NBA labor expert went on the air and broke down exactly what's happening behind the scenes. And let me tell you, it's even worse than most people realize. Adam Silver has been directly involved in these negotiations from the very beginning, despite publicly saying he'll step in if needed. He is already there, pulling strings. The problem is that no amount of Adam Silver's legendary negotiating skills can change basic mathematics. The players want their salaries pegged to a fixed percentage of revenue, just like NBA players have in their collective bargaining agreement. The owners are saying absolutely not, and here is exactly why that is a non-starter. The WNBA has been accumulating massive debt for decades, and this is the part nobody wants to talk about publicly. The WNBA isn't just unprofitable right now, it's been hemorrhaging money since it started operations. Every single year, the league loses tens of millions of dollars. The NBA has been subsidizing it this entire time out of goodwill. So when the players demand a fixed percentage of revenue, the owners are looking at them like they've completely lost their mind, because that revenue share model assumes the business is actually profitable. It assumes there's real money left over to split after expenses. The WNBA doesn't have that luxury. What they have is crushing debt that needs to be paid down before anybody starts dividing up imaginary profit. The expert on that podcast made it crystal clear what the owners are thinking. The owners want to control their expenses. They want to know exactly how much they're spending on salaries so they can actually plan for profitability eventually. They can't do that with a percentage-based model when the revenue fluctuates wildly and is barely enough to cover basic operations anyway. The players are essentially demanding a piece of a pie that doesn't exist yet, and they are threatening to destroy the whole bakery if they don't get it.